Hello, one and all, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Nina Williams In Depth. I'm your host, Friendly Tree, and today I would like to talk about Nina's move called Siren's Kiss. Okay, I think the settings are all good, except I want the frame data on. Conveniently, that was right there. Perfect. We'll remove the health gauge too, because we've got the player attack info so we can see the numbers and things. Yeah. Anyway, Siren's Kiss. It's another move. It's got a cool name. People don't really refer to it by its name very often, which is a shame because it's cool. It's her f+3, and this is a move that most people will be very familiar with. It's maybe a bit overused at lower levels, but it still has its place all around. So let's have a look at it. f+3 is this move here. You see her left leg goes up and she does like a flicky kick. Hwoarang has a move like this as well, but it's forward 4. Right flamingo's dance forward 4. Okay, so you can do it while walking forward. You can just tap forward and 3 at the same time. And one other little input that I'll mention is you can input it as forward 3+4. And that comes in handy because you can do a while running forward 3+4. So you can just do while running forward 3+4 and that'll come out. And that we'll talk about that a bit more in the application. Anyway, what else can we talk about with this move? It's 2 hits. 14 frame startup, 2 active frames on the first hit, then 10 frame startup with 2 active frames on the second hit. So you can see that there. So this is a natural combo, but it does not jail. And okay, you can see it's +6 here, knockdown on normal hits. If we set the opponent to guard all and then crouch, you'll see the opponent can duck this. So it's high. The opponent can duck the second hit. And what makes this even more threatening, of course, is they can duck and launch you. So I'm holding back there. Oh, but too slow. Yeah, you can see that came up as a punish. So it's a good move for getting frame advantage, but it's risky as heck if you're versing someone who can duck it. Thankfully, if you think about the time, 14 frame startup and then 10 frame after that, or 14, 15. So if it hits on the first active frame, then you've got 11 frames to react to duck. So that's pretty tight. That's like, it's a hit confirm, it's possible, but it is tricky. And then if you add things like the lag online, it becomes even more difficult. So people are ducking this move less and less, and they're more likely to duck it if they're anticipating it coming. But of course it's +6 on block, or +7 if it's on the second active frame, so that's pretty good for applying pressure. So if you can use it, I suppose you might as well try and get away with it. Range wise, it doesn't actually have much range on the first hit, so if we look at it, we get to about 2.35 and we'll hit there. If we get to 2.4, the first hit will whiff, and you can see the second hit is a little bit more range. The second hit itself is great. If we could have that second hit on its own, I'd be pretty happy. But we're not going to get that, so that's okay. So yeah, 2.35 range is what we're looking at there. But you're not really going to be using it from there very often, and you're better just to sort of walk forward a little bit. Or like I said, you can use the forward 3+4, as long as you don't do a forward 3+4, because that'll come as a forward 3. Okay, what else about Siren's Kiss? What about tracking? Because this is a key issue of this move. Not key issue, sorry, this is a key part of this move. So if we go guard all, sidestep left, and I do a jab forward 3, you'll see the second hit catches them. Likewise with sidestep right, the second hit again. See, the second hit's amazing, isn't it? Now if we go sidewalk left, this is the one situation where it'll completely whiff. Unfortunately, people don't sidewalk left against Nina very often. Sidewalk right, the second hit will clip them as well. Of course, the catch here is they can sidestep and duck and make that second hit whiff still and launch you. So it's not great to use as a homing move in every situation, but it does have that tracking, so it only loses to sidewalk left, or the second hit only loses to sidewalk left, I should say. So that's pretty good. On hit, it gives the knockdown, as I said, and there are some more interesting properties here, because if you look at how they fall back, they're sort of to the side, they fall back and go to their right, and it means that they're off axis. And I've got them set to spring kick, and they can't spring kick because they're off axis. So although you're not limiting their moveset very much, and they're still in face down, feet toward, they can still tech roll and things, they cannot spring kick. So this does open up the possibility for a lot of good Oki. And to be honest, probably the most common thing you do after this, the most common thing you'd see, fully charged forward 1+2. Oh. If we go in like that, of course, we're realigning, so that happens. But that will beat every option. So, of course, they can stand up and block it. But you're fully charging it, so you're leaving yourself at +8, even though there's a lot of pushback. But if they do anything except stand up, they're going to get hit by that, and you can fully charge it. So obviously there's a bit of a mix-up game, but that's an idea of how you can use this. And of course at 14 frame, this is a very common punisher. So you can use this move, and you get that for ongoing pressure, and you might get a wall splat, or a wall bounce, or a lot of damage, or at least you've got your frame advantage there to continue your mind game, from a mid-range mind game. Alright, what else can we talk about? On counter hits, this is probably one of her biggest comeback moves in the game. Along with the spear kick, Siren's Kiss gives a huge stun, plenty of time to confirm, and you can get a lot of combos off it. So I don't know why I just did that, but for example, something simple like that. Easy wall carry, 80 damage, and you can get much better than that, and we'll go through that in the application again. The other thing I needed to point out is I've been bragging about the second hit so much that I haven't talked about the great property of the first hit. I don't think Nina has many moves that are great when they trade on hit, but the first hit still has counter hit properties, and this can really work for some deadly potential. So if you get a gap of 14 frames, so I've got down forward 1 into down forward 1, we trade there, look at that, they get stunned. I've got time to do whatever I want, really, and that's guaranteed. There's no way they can break that stun. So you got to find the situation there. It's kind of hard to create yourself. It used to be off down back 3, but they added that extra frame. Not that that's a nerf, because it means if they press a button, you get a full counter hit launch instead of that trade. So it's not a nerf. It's just trying to find that situation where they might do something into a button. So if you found something that you're +4. And then you do that. If they press a button, if they do a jab, you've got that wicked trade. So let's actually put that in action so you can see it. So, yikes. There we go. Yeah. You can see that I was -55. -55. So you can get whatever you want with there, which is really good. That's a pretty amazing property. Okay, other properties this move has, it's a tailspin. So people don't generally use it because you can see the 29 damage compared to something like this, 31 damage for the same situation. Whoops. Or that, 34 damage for a similar situation. But it is an option. For a 2-hit tailspin, it's not bad. It's just there are better options. And I guess the point of that is, I mean, if you're versing someone like a Kuma or someone who goes airborne for any reason, then throwing out this move, you may do it in a reaction to a jump, and not only do you just hit them out of the air, but you get a tailspin, you can continue your combo. And I mean, you can get some pretty good stuff off it. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, we're not going to worry with while standing ones at the moment. We'll go into that soon. But Siren's Kiss. So 14 frame, 2 hits, unfortunately doesn't jail. Knockdown, 14 frame Punisher, giving you free, well no free follow up, but free pressure afterwards. Tracks pretty well, and amazing comeback potential with the counter hit. And of course you can do it from running, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's a bit of a summary of the properties of the move. Also range 2.35. But let's go on to the application now, okay? How do we apply Siren's Kiss in our gameplay? That can be quite tricky, especially because, as I mentioned before, the 2 hits do not jail on block, so it can be quite risky to use as a pressure tool, despite the fact that it gives you such great frame advantage. So, unfortunately, it's not a move I suggest throwing out too often, unless you're versing the AI, because you verse the AI and you do that into that, and you'll get a counter hit launch every time. Try it. But you've got to use it very sparingly and use it in situations where the opponent will not anticipate it, or when, I suppose, you're using it like a slower, more rewarding version of a Magic 4. Very similar to the spear kick, but higher risk. But the risk, of course, is subjective, depending on the opponent you're versing and if they have the potential to duck it. So don't choose your character matchups, choose your player matchups on when you use this move lots. The main use, the safest use for this move, of course, is using it as a 14 frame punisher. So while Nina cannot launch, if you've got something like that, just any move you know is minus 14, because of its range, it works as a very good punisher. Another common move. So this one, depending on the spacing, it can be tough, so you'll see like that will be hard to reach a lot of the time. Yeah. But that's a lot more consistent. So it's kind of like a ranged 14 frame punisher. A lot of the time it's just better, because I mean near the wall as well, you do get a wall splat with it, with better range than that. So yeah, using it as a 14 frame punisher is probably the safest or the best way to use this move, if you're not wanting to weigh into the risk involved. The next thing we'll talk about will be, I guess, damage off it. So obviously if you get the trade, like I said before, then you can get just a geyser cannon and up for 2-1 combo, whatever you want. But most of the time, the reason it's ridiculous is because of the hits on counter hit. So if you do that, you can very easily do this combo, which spikes and gives you a free grounded hit afterwards. So what I'm doing there, I'm getting the counter hit 4-3, sidestep right 1, forward 1, down 2-3, then run up forward 4-3-3 into that. You don't have to do a forward 1+2, you can do a forward 4-3, quarter circle forward 3, whatever, but you get a free grounded hit there if you're fast enough. So, I mean, that damage is pretty bonkers, isn't it? Oh. And that's easy mid-screen damage. Oh. I just want to see it again so I can remember how much damage it does. Come on, tree. I swear it's guaranteed. I swear. Let's do forward 4-3. Whatever. Anyway, 76 damage plus 19 damage or whatever. So that's, you're getting close to 100 damage there for a pretty easy conversion with plenty of time to react. You can actually up your damage a little bit more by doing a sidestep right, quarter circle forward 1 twice. But it's a little bit harder to get the timing, as you saw there. There's more potential for dropping it. I don't even know the trick here. I think you delay the second quarter circle forward 1 a bit, just like you do in the other combos. Let's not delay. Yeah, anyway, I generally do that for consistency, because that's really consistent across the board. You could do a single one, but yeah. Man, I love how I'm like, that's guaranteed, and then I've dropped it like every single time since. Anyway, so that's a really good combo you can get, but obviously if you don't want to go like that, you could do something like a sidestep left into while standing, sidestep left 1 combo, but then because of the axis you can't get the normal stuff. But that's an easy 80 damage wall carry. Or you could just do down forward 3-2. The difference here being that you have to sidestep left instead of sidestep right with the 1, because of the access you put on. The other thing, of course, is because of the access you put on, you can go straight into while standing ones if you want, and people often use this as a practice route to get the timing down. Apparently I need to. Yeah, so I mean, look at that damage. So that's pretty good. A great way to practice your while standing ones too. But yeah, that's fun. The other thing you can do with combos is you can use your rage, and this is the fun application of rage drive. So what you can do very easily is drop the combo like that. You do a side step 1, cancel. Yeah. So that was 123 damage. 123 damage, guys. But that's with rage activated afterwards, which you won't have. So you're looking about 100 damage, 120 damage. So what I'm doing there is the counter hit forward 3, side step right 1, and I do the cancel. So you do a back up or back up back, and then you do the rage drive, down forward. Then you cancel the down forward by tapping up. So you do it at the end of the recovery. Oh. You do it down 2, 3. And then you do run up and get the spike. You can get more than that too. Yikes. I have not been practicing. Because you can go like that. Yeah, you can do that. But that's an option if you want to go for wall carry instead. So you can see that ridiculous comeback potential, because you're getting over 100 damage if you're low life and you hit this move. Even if you're not low, you're still getting close to 100 damage if you do that into the free OTG. And if you can get it to connect, unlike me apparently. So that's some pretty good application of the move in my opinion. The next thing I want to talk about is while running 1+2. So if we do that, for example, yikes. You can see that can be quite easily stepped or walked. Man, I am not good at my demonstrations today. Yeah, you see if I'm walking it there, it can work pretty well, but it's sort of like a short walk. But what you can do because of the while running option of this, you can run up and do that with forward 3+4. And obviously if I kept side walking left there, I will avoid it. Oh, even then I won't. Okay, so because the first hit completely whiffs and because the situation is different, that'll catch people trying to sidewalk either direction to avoid a while running 1+2. Of course, there's still some inherent risk there, and often just dashing up and doing something a bit safer, even a 1+4 or whatever, down for 2, I don't know, something is better. But it's an option. It's a good option that you have, especially to catch people if they're so used to that. And you can think about that with the mind game because of the knockdown, or even if they step and they press a button, they get counter hit launched from it, right? So it can really limit the person's options so that they're more likely to just stay grounded or stand and just block the while running 1+2. Okay, is there anything else we need to talk about with application? It's really punishment and combo damage. I guess you could talk about the frame advantage, so let's talk about that for a moment. So at +6, you can do things like a down forward 1+2, and it'll trade with a jab. You can also do things like a 1+4 or a down forward 2, and it'll beat anything they do. A very common one is just forward 3 into forward 3, which hopefully a lot of people are learning to avoid, but people often do that because if they press a single button, they get counter hit launched, and you know that's more than half their life gone. At +6 is a nice situation because it also means that you can do like a down 3 and not really be contested there. Trade with a dig jab, that's about it. and then you can do the extensions off that. If they do something slower, you can try and quick twitch confirm. +6 as well. It's a pretty good situation to start doing throws. So you can use it for a situation to do a throw mix-up. Of course, we have to consider backdash. So keep that in mind with these mix-ups, because a backdash is still a good option there. But yeah, they can't backdash out of that very easily. Depending on the character. I mean, Zafina. You know Zafina. She can possibly backdash the first hit a bit more consistently. But yeah. I wouldn't use this move too much, but I would throw it out occasionally after something like a sidestep 1, or just in a situation where I don't think they're going to respect the frames and I want to do a bit more risk, or if I'm really gunning, like if my life is quite low and I'm really gunning for some kind of comeback and I'm willing to use that risk. But as I said, most of the time you really want to choose the player matchup when you want to use this. You want to find people that aren't as comfortable ducking it, and then make sure you're still not using it in obvious situations. So like if you do sidestep 1, forward 3, and if you're just using that all the time to generate pressure, that might not be a great idea. At least mix it up with something else from time to time. Do something. But it's there. It's probably her easiest way to get frame advantage. Just be aware of the risk. It's risky as heck. Let's talk about wall splats. That's always fun. So forward 3, as I mentioned, it does wall splat. And if we set them... Oh, we don't need to actually. You'll notice that there are different wall splats. So if you're a little bit away, you can do this, and that's because of the move knocking them to the side. So it knocks them off axis, which is pretty cool. If you're closer, it doesn't knock them off axis, so you can't do the same stuff. The other thing is, compared to a move like this, where you would sidestep left and then get your big combos, this one, because of the push away, you'd sidestep right. Oh, yikes. If you get a typical splat. Yep. So that's something else to consider there. So because of, even if you're very close and it doesn't push them far off axis, you still want to be sidestepping right to do whatever you do if you get a wall splat with this move. As it's 14 frame, it's up to you whether you use this one or this one. This one you can kind of twitch confirm, it does a bit more damage, but it's situational and it's also about execution. If you're afraid of messing up the input, forward 3 or forward 3+4 is much easier to do than a down forward 3, forward 4. You don't want to accidentally get down forward 3, 4 and drop a ton of damage either, do you? Of something like counter hit back 4, you'll get a guaranteed wall splat with this move, or any move faster than 18 or 18 frame or faster. But so this is a common option. Yeah. As well as that, nope, evil missed. Ah. So as long as you're not right by the wall, yeah, because this is going to be hard to replicate, isn't it? If you're point blank at the wall, if they hit the wall on the first possible frame, then they're generally -13. Yeah, there we go. So keep that in mind. But more often, there we go. Now it's working. More often than not, you're going to get it with that little bit of a gap there, so that you're at least +14. So that's a common option you get there. And if they bounce against the wall like that, there's nothing they can do about it. Of course, yeah, there's the risk involved with that. If they duck it, you're following the duckable mist with 2 highs after it. So you've got to try and confirm it still if you can. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get launched. What else do we need to talk about at the wall? I think the big thing about it is just the fact that it knocks them to the side. Because that's the interesting part in my opinion. But yeah, it's a good option as a wall splat, as long as you're not relying too heavily on it. And I just like being able to do that. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Okay, I think that's everything we need to talk about with application. So let's go on to the summary, eh? Nina's Siren's Kiss is input as forward +3 or forward 3+4 to be performed from running. It is a 14 frame high string that does not jail on block. It being 14 frame, it is great as a block punishment move, or even a whiff punisher I suppose, and on knockdown gives free follow-ups but nothing guaranteed. So it knocks down on normal hit, it gives a big stun for guaranteed damage, a guaranteed juggle on counter hit, giving some of the best comeback potential that Nina has in the game, and it also is +6 on block. So it can be risky to be used for frame advantage because there is about an 11 frame confirm window for the opponent to duck and launch you due to the string not jailing. The first hit connects from about range 2.35, and you'll find that the second hit is a bit further range, which is nice. It also catches the opponent stepping left or right and side walking right, and depending on how you set it up, as I demonstrated, you can catch them side walking left as well, but it can be avoided side walking left in many situations. The knockdown on normal hit sends them flying to their right or Nina's left, which can end with some interesting Oki situations as they cannot do all the expected options, and can also give her slightly unique wall splats with the move. It does cause a tailspin as well as a wall splat, but the tailspin is probably a bit obsolete as you've got better tools such as down 2-3 and down back 2, and while standing 4-3 and while standing 1-1+2, you've got better tailspins than this to use, but it still has its place, doesn't it? The interesting property would probably be the fact that if the first hit trades with a move, you get a guaranteed follow-up launcher. So you can be quite creative with finding ways to set this up, or finding gaps in the opponent's pressure to throw out this move to get amazing comebacks. How do you use Siren's Kiss? Are you on the same team as me, thinking that it's a bit too risky to use too often? Like I said before, I think you really need to choose your player matchup opposed to your character matchup when using this move, unless you're just using it for block punishment or using it very scarcely, as you don't want the opponent to be ready for this move and ready to duck and launch you. Anyway, please comment below what you think of Nina's Siren's Kiss. I'd love to hear how you use this move. Thanks everyone, take care, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
You win.
What's done is done.